we are now moving on to another fight, but a homecoming fight. The first one in Katie Taylor's professional career in Dublin, where she's facing Chantelle Cameron for the undisputed light welterweight title. First thing I'm going to come to you about this, we touched on it just before we actually started recording, is Chantelle Cameron undervalued in this particular fight, considering she's going in as the champion but as the underdog, and this is her division?
Undervalued in the fact that I feel like, to her own admittance, she hasn't always been the most commercially viable person. But it's hard because some people's thing is just like, I just want to go in there and box. They don't want to do the whole media personality stuff. And I hear it because it can be draining. Sometimes there are people out there who's just like, I just want to box. And I feel like that's why with Chantelle Cameron, it's kind of like some people may not be too aware of her, so they're undervaluing her only because of lack of familiarity and not because of they underestimate her skill and ability. Because listen, she become undisputed in the last fight. It's not easy to do that. And the fact that the way she done it was in a dominant victory as well. So, I'm happy that she stepped up, because obviously when the fight with Serrano fell through, a lot of people were upset because they were just like, we wanted this big homecoming. And then this could even be a bigger thing. And for me, it's a win-win for Katie Taylor, because Katie Taylor's at 135. If you do the 140, then obviously it's just like double champ status. Double undisputed champ status, which is crazy. And if you lose, it's just like, listen, it was a good fight. You brought big time boxing back to Ireland. You can still have that Serrano fight at 135. And yeah, it'll just be great. And then with Chantelle Cameron, I think with the lights being on Katie Taylor for this big Irish homecoming, to be the spoiler of that can hopefully give her, like we used wrestling terms before, give her the big rub, and then she can come to the UK and garner that big crowd for herself.
I was going to say, we kind of had that last year with Clarissa Shields with Savannah Marshall, and how she did that as well. With this fight then, we touched on the homecoming aspect. Is that going to add elements of nerves for Katie Taylor or not?
Listen, this woman is an Olympian, if I'm correct. She's also used to play top-level football. She ain't new to this.
I've seen. I don't know if you've seen the clip of
Katie Taylor.
Kick? Yeah, I think it's the free kick and the goal that she scored. Yeah,
man, that woman is the truth. She is the truth, and I feel like I think she's had too many big moments to get shrunk by this one, especially just Madison Square Garden one last year. If you didn't shrink at that moment, this one, she's probably just going to take up the energy more, because many people believe she's near the end of her career anyway. So this is one of those moments where she's been fighting for, and I don't think the moment will belittle her, but she will live up to it. So let's just hope for a great performance from her.
If she wins, does she retire then? Or do you hold out and go Serrano one more time? I would say if you lose, if you lose, you've got Serrano. Personally, though, I do think what you've accomplished and what you accomplished by winning this fight, you can retire and it'd be fine. But what would you do?
Here's the thing. This is where it gets dangerous territory. If she beats Chantelle Cameron, it's going to be a big stadium fight with her and Serrano. It has to be.
That's true.
It has to be a big stadium fight if she wins. Even if she loses, it will still be a big stadium fight, because it will be like that Serrano rematch is going to be big business. And here's the only thing, though, because from what I know, Alicia Baumgartner is also looking down on this fight, thinking, I like the look of those belts as well. Because she's undisputed at 130, I got a feeling that if, let's say, Katie Taylor was to get through Chantelle Cameron and she was to get through Serrano, I think if Alicia Baumgartner can get enough, what's the word I'm looking for, backing behind her,
yeah,
I think she could draw out Katie Taylor for one more big fight. Even though I feel like as time goes by, Alicia Baumgartner is one of those people where the more time you give her, the better she's going to get. And I feel like with Katie Taylor, knowing how she fights, she's probably going to get into wars with Serrano and Cameron. So, yeah, I'll say let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but I think it's a win-win for Katie. Like I said, if she loses, listen, man, you brought big time boxing back to Ireland, and it's not your weight class, and the Serrano fight still there. If you win, that Serrano fight is just much bigger. So win-win.
This is what I will say. At 36, 3 more big fights. It's a lot personally for me to see. What I will say is this is why I think Chantelle Cameron can potentially win this fight. When I remember the Serrano fight, Katie came out strong. Then towards that middle of the fight, you saw Serrano being able to impose on her. And being that Katie is the natural 135 fighter, and this is at 140, I feel like if Chantelle does that, you got the size, you got the reach advantage. That might be a bit too much for me against Katie Taylor. I was just wondering your thoughts about the size and the reach for Chantelle.
If Chantelle Cameron seems like they come from good camp and everything, and I feel like she's going, especially I think she's going in there to play spoiler, and I think she's looks like she's relishing going in there to be the big spoiler. Like it's almost like, yep, I want you guys to lap it all up. I want you guys to get behind your girl because I'm gonna go in there and steal her shine. And I like that she's got that like chip on her shoulder to go in there and do big things. So it'll be interesting to see how she imposes her will on there. And if like, even though it's £5 weight difference, you got to use every advantage you've got to your advantage. So let's see how she utilizes it.
What's your predictions for this one before we wrap up?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. I know people don't like me being on the fence, but this one, I'm on the fence. My heart says Katie Taylor, but my head is saying Chantelle Cameron's gonna go in there and play spoiler.
No, I'm on the playing spoiler. I think Chantelle Cameron can do this. But just before we wrap up, I do want to say that last week we had the Misfits boxing, so it wasn't like a traditional boxing weekend, you could say. This week we do. I know you've talked about it before, but in terms of a message for fans who complain about what we see last week to this week, what would you say to them in terms of getting behind both fights and tuning in for them both?
If people complain about boxing not what it used to be and there's all gimmicks and everything, you have 2 great undisputed fights on. And if you live in the UK, you've got an undisputed fight, decent UK fight time with Cameron versus Taylor. And then if you're up in the evening, you got Loma versus Haney. 2 undisputed fights. This is 2 creme de la creme, the top fighters in their division. What more can you want? So if you want the best fight and the best, if you want to say that you're so-called into boxing, I want to see the best fight, the best, this is when you're meant to be tuning in. This is when you're meant to be doing the numbers. This is when you're meant to be voicing your opinions on these guys so that, we can get more of this and less of the BS like we saw last week with Rowley and Barroso. But
I didn't even think about that. I was thinking Misfits, but that was something.
Yeah, that too. But you get what I'm saying?
That was worse.
This is one of the times when boxing's in a place where they can do great things. So hopefully the fans get behind it.
Yeah, and with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode of the STAYWEIGHEDIN Podcast. As always, if you enjoy the content, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. The road to 2K is on the way. I'm going to say that each time. So if you're not subscribing, you might as well do it and get me to stop saying it. But as always, Ray, appreciate Ray coming on and stay waiting, guys.